Welcome, everyone, to the Holstein House podcast. I'm the West Virginia woman, Robin, of RobinHolstein.com and Holstein House, where my guests get a great night's sleep at a fair rate plus breakfast. This is a podcast that looks at society and culture issues affecting families in West Virginia and the United States, from food preparation and storage, gardening, home repairs, current events, and more. We'll go around the table and back in 60 minutes or less. So let's hang out and talk a while. Good Tuesday morning, all y'all. How are you doing out there this morning? I am Robin Holstein, the West Virginia woman and proprietor of Holstein House Bed and Breakfast. And for those of you just joining me today, or catching this on the replay that maybe you never have seen it before, I am located in West Virginia. I am a legitimate small B&B, and I do this broadcast a couple times a week right now, and we just share information generally about hosting a small B&B from your homestead. I have a small homestead as well. I'm an urban homestead person with a couple dogs and a few cats and some chickens and some ducks, and we talk about all kinds of stuff. Hope to see Mike, the Philippine nomad, out there. He's told me he was going to be there today. Looking forward to talking to him a little bit if he can make it. He's been trying to dodge some wet weather down there in the Philippines, and haven't heard from him in a while, but hope to talk to him soon. Did talk to him briefly on the Telegram group this morning, and it was good to hear from him that the family is safe. All right, so today is this is episode 91 of the Holstein House podcast, and today I want to talk to you. I have in the title line timber. Talk about the tree that we had taken down over the weekend. Talk about some of the work being done on the Doghouse. Tomato Assassin. The dehydrating workshop I'm going to do pretty soon, and some other stuff. Got a couple of news stories I want to kind of talk about that I didn't have in the description. I come across those this morning, kind of wanted to touch on those, so we'll do that here in a little bit. I know it's not good form. I should have it all there and share all that with you, and we will do that. There he is. It's good to see you, Loco E. And if you want to hop over and join us if you use Telegram, Holstein House Chat, t.me/Holstein House Chat. I had some folks having trouble getting in there, and I wanted to make sure I had that right. So it's t.me/Holstein House Chat. So we'll get started this morning. Hopefully Mike doesn't end up with the trench foot from all that damp weather they've had down there. He mentioned that he went to the lowlands because it's a monsoon in the highlands up in the mountains. And I'm thinking, well, water travels to its lowest. Maybe you shouldn't be hanging out down there in the lowlands. But obviously he knows what he's doing because he lives down there. I don't. It's a beautiful part of the world, though. I've seen pictures. And I know people who've been down there, and it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous down there. So first off, I was going to talk to you a little bit about and I have it listed as timber. We had the tree taken down. This was a very large, we're talking at least 3 stories, because that puppy was taller than our 2-story house by quite a bit. And I guess it could have been pushing 4 because it actually had grown down in a low spot in the yard. So the area of town where I live in is kind of on, I don't think it really counts as a ridge, but back behind our property there's a creek, and so it comes down the property, like, so here's the street, and you come down through the yard, and then it kind of drops off and gets down into the bottom. My grandma used to call it the bottom, and then it starts back up. So over time, this creek has cut this right out, and so this tree, it's what they call a tree of heaven, and I think there's a couple other names for it, has grown in one of the lower spots. And so it actually had to grow up quite a bit to top the level of the highest spot in our yard, and then up 2 stories, at least, probably 3 beyond that. This puppy was huge, and the base of it is every bit of 4 feet wide. I know you can't see all that. I do a lot of this, don't I? Sorry. But it was every bit of 4 feet wide. And that's it. It was huge, and it was, I don't know if it was actually leaning, but the way it was growing, it was leaning towards the house. Had it snapped off or had it fallen over, let's say, because like out in California where they're having all that flooding and stuff, you see, trees just tipping over because the ground's so soggy. And even if it's got a good root system, the ground's so wet that it just gives way with the top, as being top heavy. So if that thing had come over, not only would it have taken out my coop, which I knew that when I put the coop where it is, but it would have hit the kitchen. It would have hit my kitchen. So would it have taken the whole kitchen out? I don't know. It would depend on which direction it fell, but it would have done damage. So I've been wanting to get rid of it for a long time. We've had people come out and look at it before, and this is one of these that I've fussed about a little bit over the past almost year. And people will come out and say, "Oh yeah, I can take it down." Okay, when can you be here? Oh, can be here Saturday or whatever, and then they don't show up. Now the people that took it down, Saturday, actually we were going to have it done Sunday, and then they asked Mr. Holstein if they could come out Saturday and do it. And he said, sure. They're not the same ones that took the big tree down last year or the year before. I didn't have this channel when we did that one. We had another big one in the backyard taken down because if it had dipped over, it would have hit the doghouse. It would have taken out the doghouse. But if it had gone the other way, and because it kind of was straddling the property line, it'd probably be our fault. It would have taken out a mobile home. So we want to just go ahead and get that. It kind of split the property line, but you know how people are, so they would have probably sued us instead of the county. But anyway, we had it taken out. But this thing Saturday, it was huge. We just had them drop it. We didn't have them cut it up and haul it off because it would have doubled the price of having the work done. Now, if I can do this, where is it? It should be right here. I want to show you, and this is not going to be a really good picture because it's not the whole thing. It's only like the top third of the tree. So this is like, I don't know if you can see my pointer here. There is probably this much left that's not in the shot, and that's the top. That's the biggest part that came our way. This is my back fence. What's left of it? It was in poor shape anyway, so we weren't worried about that. But this thing, the base is way off the screen here. I couldn't even get to it. It was just huge, and I didn't take a picture of the base this time. I've taken it before, but this thing was a tree of heaven, and it's really, really brittle. When they started cutting, a couple of those limbs came down before he got, even half of the width of the saw blade in, and it was just snapping. This particular, there's like 2 big limbs laying here, all busted up, and of course you can see a couple cut spots where we had it cut, but it took out my tomatoes. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Um, let me get back to me. Just me. It shook the whole house when it hit the ground. When they and just about every cut, I was looking out the kitchen window or outside. There was a couple cuts I went outside and watched them. And the guy that was in that tree, I mean, he was just swinging around like a monkey. It was hysterical. I don't know if I can share the video off of that. I did video the guy. I slipped in video him. I didn't ask him. No, where's the video? I had it on the phone. It should be all right here. Darn, it's not there. I don't know if that's just the photos. Let me see if I can find that video real quick before I really would like to share with you to see this guy, and it'll give you a better perspective. I should have thought this through a little better. It'll give you a better perspective of the size of this crazy thing. Let me get to my where is it? It's the camera. Where's the darn it? I love how I think about this stuff at the last minute and then I don't have everything ready. I know you guys love it too because you're so understanding. Oh, darn it. Come on. It should be, where's my, where is my, it's not in the picture file. It has to be in the documents file. Where's the dumb documents file? Recent. No, darn it. This aggravating thing. It drives me crazy. This Office 365 nightmare. I don't like Office 360. I don't like renting my software. And that's what this is renting your software. I like to own it. Do I have to update it? Yes, that's fine. But I want to own my software. All right, where's my camera? Not the camera on this laptop, but the camera file for this is annoying. I'm probably looking right past it. Well, I'm not going to fool with it. If I can find, I'll show you Friday because I just don't want to spend the time going through here. It should be a photo or a picture file and a folder, and they're not here. That's personal. And if I don't find it, I don't like wasting a lot of time on it because the folks that are listening to the actual podcast can't see me fighting through this dumb thing and trying to chase down the camera roll, which is right there. And then they get frustrated and they listen. All right, I found the camera roll. There's here, let's see, August. Here, is it going to show me the videos? I think it might. No, that's not it. That's not it. Shoot. This stupid thing. Well, I'm totally aggravated with it. And don't want to fool with it anymore. Mike says, our chaos with the storms in the mountains started with a tree down in our neighborhood. It took out the transformer and caused a local power outage for 3 days. Storm number 1 subsided. Then the rescue workers had the downed tree cut up and removed immediately, but the local utility took 3 days to repair the transformer and restore power to our small neighborhood. And then he says, we have Office 365 loaded on this computer, but it's a scaled down version that was installed with the purchased laptop. Yeah, this is kind of the same thing, Mike, the 365 thing. And it's just frustrating. It just drives me insane. I have the Microsoft Office, I think it's 2007 version still on these laptops, and they still work, but obviously they're not supported anymore. So I get all kinds of error message when I open them up. If I leave them open for a while, it's okay. The problem I get is when I close the apps and then open them up again, I get the error messages, and it just drives me crazy. I've used OpenOffice and some of the other ones, and I just don't like them as well. I mean, I can use them. I just don't like them as well. And I do use Google. I should be ashamed of myself, but I still use a lot of Google stuff. But it's just ease of going from one machine to the next and not having to go through all of this crap trying to get to the files, because Office 365 shouldn't be this hard. It's, you have to open Edge, whatever they call it, Edge. You have to select 365. You have to open Live Office. You just have to go through too many stupid steps. Google, you just pop open Google. So, but anyway, I might show you some pictures here in a minute of some other stuff. But so they took this tree down, and like I said, a couple of the limbs just snapped. So the guys on the, I'm going to be uploading those to you. I'll show you Friday. Because I'm going to upload those videos to YouTube, and I'll show you Friday. But so he's cutting this one limb, and before he gets through like I said, the width of the saw blade, which is, like that, a regular tree cutting saw, gas powered saw, the thing snaps, and you hear it. You hear the pop of the snap, pop, and down it comes. Now it came down where they wanted it, within a range, and then it took out my tomatoes, but it shook the whole house. And these stupid tree of heaven things are very, very brittle. And a few years ago, after I moved the coop and extended the run down over this little slope where it is in the back, one of those branches, I mean, at a saddle, I think they call it a saddle, it had rotted, and it just sheared off just all at once, decided, boom, I'm done. And it fell off. It fell across the run in the back and had all the birds scared to death. But they were okay. They were all fine. But it was a very, very nerve-wracking weekend for me. We had our guest. We had, the guys had been working on the doghouse. Then they came Saturday instead of Sunday to take the tree down. And in the process of taking down the tree, they dislodged a squirrel's nest from another tree. And we hear these little baby squirrels just screaming. And we found 3. We don't know if there were 4, but we found 3. We gathered up the nest. I put the nest in a box. I put the 3 squirrels in the 3 baby squirrels. They were gray. They had their little hair, but their eyes weren't open. And I was looking up how to take care of them. And you had to feed them every 2 hours. And I'm like, I can't. There's not enough of me to do this. I can't do this. And they, so I kept the box in the sun because it said they have to be kept at like 96 or 98 degrees or something. I forget what it was. They had to be kept warm. And after all the tree cutting and everything was done, Mr. Holstein put a 20-foot ladder up against a tree the tree we think it came out of, and he put it up as high as we could get it in the box. And I saw the mom squirrel, I guess it was the mama squirrel, hopping the tops of the trees and, looking for that nest. And I don't know if she ever found it. I don't want to know. My heart breaks that we may have caused those little squirrels to die taking that tree down. But, as hard as I am about some things, when it comes to animals, I'm very, very tenderhearted, especially the wild ones that don't have any clue what's going on. These three little babies, I don't know that she went back to the nest. I know she was looking for it, and I know I read that they will go back, but we completely dislodged the nest, so it wasn't in the same place at all. And I don't know. I don't know. But we'll try to make it up to her some way. I told Miss Holstein we need to build some squirrel nest box things and put up back there to make up for it. But it just breaks my heart when stuff like that happens, because I can't take care of them. There's no way. And there would have been, I don't know of anybody to reach out to who might try to take care of them. And it was just, we hadn't seen any squirrel to know that there was a nest, and much less two squirrel, that there could be babies. So it was upsetting. It was upsetting. And the young man that came and stayed, he showed up about the time we figured out, oh my gosh, here's the squirrels, here's the nest. I'm putting a box together. He's asking questions about going for hikes locally. And I've got these squirrel and the dogs. Betty, the dog, was just losing her mind over the sound of the saw and those limbs crashing. She's a very nervous dog. Bob doesn't care, but she's a very nervous. And so it was a high stress weekend, although it was stuff we wanted to get done. So Mike says, oh, I despise Microsoft OS, all versions, too many updates and crashes. I've been using Linux for the last 3 years, but my old laptop's Linux froze up and I haven't repaired it. Now back to Microsoft. Yeah, see, I'm not tech savvy enough to install and keep Linux updated. I tried to use some open source stuff in the past. I just can't. I just have too much going on to take care of all of it. I unfortunately, if I'm going to use it, I'm a good user, and I've said this before. I can put gas in the car, I can check the oil, I can check the tires, and I can drive it. I don't need to learn how to build the engine. That's where I am on a lot of things. I don't need to know how to build a website. Well, I've built websites. It's pretty, the plug and play kind of stuff. I don't fool much with HTML or anything anymore, or CSS even for that matter. It's got to be, pretty cut and dry. And that's how I am. I don't have time. I'd love to, but I just don't have time. Mike says, actually, my old laptop's motherboard and RAM have gone kaput. Just so happened I had Linux installed after removing Windows 7. Yeah, and my father-in-law, he does this for work. He's still working at 83. He works I think he's working for the county government now, county schools in the IT department. I think it's the county now. He had been working for the state. He'd worked as a contractor, and then he was working for the state. I think now he's working at the county level. But he said he probably wouldn't work. He probably will take his actual retirement this year. But he's one of those. He won't stop. There'll be something he's doing all the time. But yeah, he's up there in age. He's in fairly good health for his age. So, but he does all that tech stuff, and I'm gonna miss having him able to keep my technology up, because he's done that for me for many years. Not just me, but a lot of us in our family. He's done that for us for many, many years, and I'm going to miss that. Well, one of the things that came up in some of the conversation in Telegram groups was the fires in Canada, and one of the ladies mentioned that she was in an area where she may have to evacuate, and then she was realizing that her evacuation plans weren't quite where they needed to be. And she was asking for some ideas. And it kind of made me think, it's it's time. It's really a little past time to start thinking of stocking up and preparing for winter's emergencies. And for those of you guys down on the other end of the equator, you're getting ready to start your summer, but we're all getting ready to go through that transitional phase, whether it's from summer to fall or it's from winter to spring. We're all going through those transitional phases, and it's time to do some of the. I like quarterly checkups on things. I think that's good. I try to. It doesn't happen on the day, but I try to use our solstice and our equinoxes as times to check certain things. One of the things that I do with the every quarter, whether it's the solstices or the equinoxes, is replace my HVAC filters, and they probably could use it more often, but every 3 months seems to be pretty good, and they are absolutely filthy when I change them. I mean, they're in the basement here, and so they pull a lot of dirt out of the basement, out of the air that goes through the system. But I also have filters in the vents, in the floor vents, and I do that for a couple of reasons. I do that to keep the dirt from upstairs out of the ductwork, because with the dogs, with us, the folks that put the HVAC system in this house, I don't know where their brains were, but they put these registers right where you walk. You know, when you normally put in when you have an HVAC system in a brand new place, they're usually by the windows, or they're by, where this cold air is coming in or where the heat's coming in. And these are out dead in the middle of the floors. And so we're walking on them all the time. And with the dogs and the cats and the scratching and the dirt and the shoes, and it can collect down in the ductwork. And so I bought I don't have them here handy, but they're just little white filters. You can buy them at the box store, home repair shops, and the box stores like Walmart's and stuff in the hardware section, and you trim them to fit, and then you tuck them in the registers from the underneath, and they filter both directions, really. Well, they're not filtering, but they filter the air coming out through the ductwork. So anything that the HVAC may get through there, it's the second filter. But for me, I'm using them to keep stuff out of that ductwork, and I change those out, and they get really bad. You don't even think about those because they're off and you're not looking at them. But then when it comes time to change them, they're really gross. So it's getting ready to be time to do that here in September. I may do that early because I've got some other stuff going on, but still yet, it's time to check those. Something that we were talking about related to the fires, though, is fire-resistant envelopes. Fire-resistant envelopes are used to protect your important documents from fires. I've noticed them most at Harbor Freight, but I suspect you can get them at anywhere you can get a fireproof safe. I think I have seen them at office supply stores. I haven't been in one in a long time. I'm usually ordering online from them, and I haven't physically been in the store. But a fire-resistant envelope is exactly what it says. You tuck your important documents down in those envelopes, and it protects them from an average household fire. That's something I need to get. I have safes that we keep our titles and our deeds and our wills and our birth certificates and all of those important documents in, and our passports and stuff. But I don't know the fire rating on those safes. A fire-resistant envelope would also be good to be able to pick up and travel with. So if you think in the case of the Canadian fires, and even the ones in Hawaii. Now Hawaii's a lot different because they didn't have a lot of options of where to go. But if you're having to evacuate, and you've got all those documents in that envelope, you're just grabbing that one envelope to go with you, and it's going to be protected from fires. And safes. Of course, you want to have some safes to keep your valuable things and you want more than one safe. You want to have a safe that people might stumble upon if somebody's going to try to rob you, and then you want to have one that's tucked away. Because if they find the one, they won't necessarily look for a second one. But you also want to make, as you're getting ready for the winter and potential emergencies, you also want to have copies of vital documents. Now, these can be photocopies. These are just enough to help you if you lose your original ones. So let's take a copy, an uncertified copy of your birth certificate. If you just shot it through a copy machine and had it tucked away somewhere, you can use that to go to your vital registrations office, and you'll have all the information you need to order a new document. You wouldn't be able to use that one legally, but you would have it. Extra medications, you may want to have some extra medications on hand. Now, I'm not real sure. There's a lot of stuff that you just can't really stock up on easily. So that's something you may need to talk to your physician about and say, I need an emergency supply. I need a couple weeks worth of this on hand so that I can keep it if we were to have to, for, whether it's a snowstorm or something, you can't get to the pharmacy, whether you're having to evacuate for some reason, that you will have these. I have seen my mother in the past has gone on trips when she was alive, obviously, and she didn't have all of the right medicines with her. And she got to a place and was trying to get some called in, like enough to get back from her trip on, and it was a big hassle. And she wasn't gone but 4 or 5 days. And these were things like her heart medications and fluid pills and things that not the stuff that like oxys or any of that stuff. But and it was a big hassle trying to get that for her when she went off. She just went off without them. And if she'd kept a little bottle, aside that she could take 3 or 4 with her, it would be one thing. But maybe you get out, maybe you can't get your medications refilled, so you have a few extra set aside, and of course you're going to rotate through those, but you have them set aside so that you can have them in case you can't get to the pharmacy. Getting ready for winter, stocking up for winter. One of the things that people do, a lot of us do, it is home canned foods. We can talk about those ad infinitum. I need to go now in this quarter and inventory my pantry, inventory my freezers, and see what all I'm short on, things that I need to rotate forward, because I have a bad habit, especially with the freezers, of not paying attention where I put things and not paying attention to what order I take them out. So I've got things in there that probably need to be used right away, but I've used stuff that I bought recently before that. So I need to work on that. Home canned meats, I do, and I brought some of these over with me. I do can meat, home canned meat. This is chicken. Those of you who follow Sutton's Days, the YouTube on Sutton's Days, she calls this ugly chicken because, when you look through the glass at what's in there, it looks pretty nasty, but it's not. When you buy it in the can, you don't see it till you crack it open. But when it's like this, it looks kind of gross sitting on the shelf, but it's not. It's not gross. It's very good. And I have a lot of these, and I need to go through and shuffle those around a little bit because I've been pulling them off out of order. And I'll take, now this is chicken breast. I do have chicken thigh, chicken legs, and other pieces of the chicken in jars. They look a little different. Dark meat tends to have a little more fat in the jars than the breast. The breasts tend to be a little dry when you take them out, so you want to keep them in the liquid when you take them out and use them. But this is chicken. This is beef. And this one's pork. You see a little bit of fat there with the pork. When you have a little bit of fat, like you don't want tons of fat, but you're going to have a little bit of fat. When you have a little bit of fat, you want to make sure you use these up sooner because the fat will go rancid. But yeah, so I don't know if I I can get these all up where you can see them or not. Oops, wrong mouse. So here's pork, beef, and chicken. So there's those. And I need to go through and I need to get them all sorted. Make sure that I don't have any that are getting towards the long end of their, I don't want to call it shelf life because they're really good for a long time, except for that if you've got a lot of fat, like I said, it'll go rancid. But the nutrition value degrades. So I need to go through and make sure I've got those. Oh, Mike says, my wife moved over to a MacBook. Mac has no OS issues. Then he mentions most of our local, now remember Mike's in the Philippines, most of our local banks no longer offer safe deposit boxes for document security. I didn't know that. He says, our neighbor at our former apartment building lost all her husband's chilled insulin when the fridge was out during a 3-day power interruption. Yeah, insulin is a big one. There are some out now that are shelf stable, but my mom was on insulin and it wasn't shelf stable. That when I read the book 1 second after, and that's one that Toolman Tim has talked to, the author. He actually was just talking to him the other day, and I read about, the character's daughter and the insulin issue and him talking to the pharmacist. I was upset. Mom was still living, and I thought, oh my God, now what? So, and Mom and him don't have, well, Mom's gone, but they don't have a generator over there. They don't have any way of keeping stuff cold except for ice. So if the power goes out, they're screwed after their ice is gone. And I don't know if they even have ice, and that's a long story that I don't want to get into. But yeah, that bothered me a lot because Mom's on insulin, and yeah, it can be quite scary. You've got to have a plan. You've just got to have some kind of plan, whether it's a small generator, whether you can. Now my dad had, when he was driving a truck, and I need to find out if they make those small enough. It's a cooler you put in the now they just call them a power port, but the lighter port, because you used to have electric lighters to light your cigarettes in your car, and you could use that to pull power from. But he had those. He had a cooler that you plugged into it, and then of course it took a long time to cool down, but it would cool down, and he could travel with stuff and keep it cold in his truck. And I don't know if you can get those that you could put on a solar powered battery charger thingy. I wonder if you could do that, so that you have a small refrigerator for stuff like that to keep medications cold. Because we had that derecho that came through here, I think it was in 2014, and it killed the power. Even the gas stations couldn't pump fuel because they didn't have backup generators. So people who were relying on gas-powered generators to keep their houses running couldn't get fuel. You had to drive forever, and of course there was no fuel forever because the whole area where the power outage was enormous, and then the gas stations that were just outside of that were tapped out from everybody going there. So yeah, I need to check on that and see if you can get, because I know you could. I don't know. It's a lot to think of all at once. I can think of all that stuff. But something else that I have here is along with the home canned fruits and vegetables and the home canned meats, I dehydrate. I have a dehydrator, and dehydration is one of the classes I'm giving this week for the church. These are peas and carrots, and this is a pint jar. And you see about a third of this pint jar is filled. This is 1 large freezer package, and I'm sorry I don't have the measure, the weight of that package, but you go to the big box store in the freezer section, you buy a big bag of peas and carrots, and this is what happens when you dehydrate them. This is one of the examples I'm going to show at my class next week, and I'm going to be taking my dehydrator over and showing folks it and stuff. But so I dehydrate a lot of stuff. So I have a lot of home dehydrated foods on my shelf. I also, and I failed to mention this a lot of times, I'm a Thrive Life consultant. It's a shame. I don't even talk about it. It's crazy. I should, because multiple streams of income, right? Well, this is a can of Thrive Life cheddar cheese. And I have this along with some other Thrive Life stuff because these are freeze-dried foods. I don't have a freeze dryer. I'm not going to buy a freeze dryer. I'll never get my money back out of a freeze dryer. And I'm not freeze drying candy and ice cream to sell to people to pay for it, because I don't want to fool with a freeze dryer. Too much hassle. But you don't dehydrate proteins like cheese. They're too high in oil. And so for most of us, that commercially done is a totally different thing. They have a whole process. It's totally different. But you don't dehydrate cheeses. So freeze drying is a different process altogether. And this is the Thrive Life cheese. I have quite a bit of this. I hate to say it, but I haven't been using it like I should. I need to crack open a can every so often and use it. These are so yummy. These are strawberries. They don't keep these all the time because they run out of them fast, but these are really good, sweet, like a little treat. But you got to be careful. You can eat this whole can in no time. They are so good. Then this is milk. Now this is freeze-dried milk. It's different than the powdered milk you get at the store, because the powdered milk you get at the store has been heated like in a dehydrating type of process. And so it's a whole different texture. This is a freeze-dried, freezing the moisture out. And it doesn't have that weird cooked flavor to it. So these are just a few things. I have more. I have several types of vegetables and stuff. But and I am like I said, I'm a Thrive Life consultant, and I did finally put. I'm ashamed to say, Carla reminded me. She was asking me about it. She said, "What is your consultant page on Thrive Life?" And I had to send it to her. I had to look it up. I've been a consultant for a couple of years now, and I haven't done very well with it at all. But it's my fault because I don't promote it and I don't push it and I don't show it. So, but I have added that link down in the description, so you should have that here when we're finished. I have to update that description to include it, but I'll have that down there for everybody. Let's see. I'd love to have known I had 2 coolers and plenty of ice at the Genset powered hotel we stayed at. This is what Mike can say, just around the corner from our building. Our landlord was totally absent during that event. Too many electric appliances. Convenience ends when the power goes out. Yeah. A lot of dependence ends. Yeah, a lot of dependencies are going to end. There's going to be a lot of when it may not happen to everybody all at the same time, but at some point in our lives, we're going to experience these power outages and these shutdowns and things. And I, without getting too political, because I kind of, I could be the angry white woman screaming at the clouds about the politics and stuff, but I don't want to do that here. But I have watched things like those rolling blackouts in California. I'd be livid. I'd be furious if I had to put up with rolling blackouts from my government and them expecting me to be okay with it. If I have my way about it, I will never live in a facility or building or apartment or anything that's more than 2 stories tall. I'm not going to be up on the fifth or sixth floor and have the power go out and can't use the elevator and have to climb the stairs. No, not if I have my way about it, which I don't always get my way about it. But I don't. That's not okay with me. But yeah, and you have riots. I mean, you have riots now before the power even goes out. There's so many places that law enforcement can't keep up with the looters, and people just, I've seen the stories on the national news of people videoing people, just going up and bashing out car windows and reaching in and taking stuff out and taking off and going because they got somebody driving them. They hop out, they bash out a car window, they reach in, they take stuff, they hop in, they go to the next one. And then you see all these folks, in places like New York, where they're well, and big cities in California too, where these mobs of people are going in and tearing stuff up and stealing stuff, and they're stealing it because they can sell it. It's not just the violence and breaking in and stealing the stuff. It's they're selling it somewhere. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of tough decisions that have to be made by people. So listen, let me show you. Is this it? Let me think. Where is my window? Mike says we still have regular power interruptions monthly up in the mountains with the local electric co-op utility. Is it like on purpose, Mike? They shut those off on purpose, or it just you can count on it going down one day when so that they reboot the system or something? Local electric co-op. It's driving me insane. Mr. Holstein works for the power company, and I know that his as they push towards using more and more electricity, but they don't upgrade anything. They don't improve the infrastructure, and then they turn around and keep telling you, "Oh, that's okay. Yeah, we're going to be all right. We're going to make all the electric cars, and we're going to make everybody go to electric, and it's going to be great. We're going to get rid of these awful, this awful coal-powered this, that, and something else." I'm sorry, most of our electricity still comes from fossil fuels, and how do you think it's generated? It's oh, good grief! I just get I get really upset about it. But yeah, I was going to show you where can I get this to. Let me not get too loud. I don't want to get too loud. How many gnats can one person have in their house? I'd like to know. Where is... That's not what I want to share. Let me remove it. Let me stop sharing, and let me go back to sharing and see if I can do it this way. There we go. So this is the Thrive Life. I'll touch on this real quick and then I'll move on. I don't want to beat this horse, and it's not what I had planned to do anyway. The Thrive Life shop, they're having some sales on what they call ingredients, which is like the individual packages of stuff, and then meals. Now they offer meals now. I'm not a big fan of the meals, and let me show you one real quick if I can. The we'll go with creamy beef and rotini pasta. These are envelopes, kind of Mylar envelopes. They've got a really, really, really long shelf life. But what I want to show you, and the reason that I don't like meals like this is this right here. I don't know if I can zoom in anymore. This is the sodium level of sodium. I don't, in the whole container, it's 1940 milligrams. In the oh, it's not showing you, is it? Darn it. Do it this way, Robin. Do it the right way, Robin. Do it the right way, Robin. There we go. Here we go. Sorry about that. So what you see here is the sodium content per serving, and there's 3 servings in a container, and there's one cup per serving. So in 1 cup of this beef meal, you've got 650 milligrams of sodium. I think that's kind of high myself. I could probably put this stuff together without that much sodium, just individually. The sodium is there to as a preservative, and it's just, in my opinion, just crazy, a crazy amount of sodium. So I don't like that at all. But you know, they are having some sales. Let me show you the sales real quick. The August specials is 30% off selected items, and those selected items are their pantry can pack. And the pantry cans are the size of the things that I just showed you. Family cans are closer to a number 10 can, if you know what those industrial size cans of foods are. So if you've ever seen an industrial size can of corn or something, like you buy it for a restaurant, you might see those at the warehouse stores and stuff if you ever shop there. Those are those giant cans. Now, once you open those, you know, any of these that you open, you start cutting the shelf life on. You've got about a year to use them. Before the moisture and stuff, unless you put them in something else and vacuum seal them, then you can extend that a little bit, but you're not going to get much life out of it. So these, what you're seeing here, the August special pantry cans are the small size cans that I showed you just a minute ago. They're like really small cans of coffee that you might buy if you're just one person that drinks coffee in your home, and it's just it's not very big of a container at all. And in this August special one, you get a pantry can sizes of pineapple, strawberry slices, green beans, mashed potatoes, pepper jack cheese, sausage crumbles, and instant white rice. And you get those for $154 right now. But if you get the monthly delivery, you'll get it for $116. And what that monthly delivery is you're saying, okay, I'm going to buy this every month. I want you to auto ship that to me every month. Let me see here. The monthly special should be here we go. Well, that's what I was showing a minute ago. These are the individual cans, so that you're getting, these cans are on sale. The strawberries are on sale. Green beans are on sale. Sausage, pineapple, all of these things that you see here with the little triangle shape that says special on it. They have sweet cherries, they have apricots. All of these are freeze-dried foods. There is also where is it? Back to school sale items. Now this one is a special sale just for the next few days. It starts on the 23rd. Which is tomorrow, and it goes through the 28th, and you can save up to 50% off of the retail price on the items that are listed here below. And mushroom, cranberries, chicken slices, confetti, cake bites. I think they're getting ready to discontinue those. Tomato powder, peach slices. Now, one of the things, oh, that's tomato dices, not powder. Sometimes they have tomato powder in stock, and one of the complaints people were given was it's getting hard. Well, they're freeze-dried, and when you open them, they start clumping. Moisture gets to them, so it's really not a defect, but people get upset. So there's a lot of stuff here, and if you want to order Again, I have the, sorry, I'm doing two things at once. I have the link for my my store, my Thrive Life store in the, well, I'll have it. I'll have to update it, I think, in the show notes. But you can go to Robin Holstein, that's one word, ROBINHOLSTEIN.thrivelife.com. I might be able to get that over here and post it here. Let's see if that will work. It should work. There we go. RobinHolstein.thrivelife.com. If you want to order, you can order through me, and it would be greatly, greatly appreciated. I'm just all over the place today. I have been trying to work on making little clips. I'm just so all over the place. I can't find good clips. It's but let's see. Okay, we'll go here. We're talking. What time is it? Oh darn, we're almost done, and I've spent so much time talking about that stuff. The Doghouse, the contractors are working away on that now. Right now, they're putting on the back part. They're putting. It's not a rubber roof, but that's the word that comes to mind. It's a sealed roofing, flat material on one part of it, and then tomorrow they're going to put a metal roof on. I didn't want a metal roof on it. I wanted shingles, but they walked around, said it's in good enough shape to put a metal roof on, and there's so many layers of shingles, I would be eat up by disposal fees, and it would really increase the cost on the job because of the amount of time the guys would have to spend taking the old shingle, all that old roofing off, and then putting the metal roofing on. I really don't like the idea of metal roofing. I just don't. But it seems to be the best call right now for our situation. And if they get it sealed up good, then more's the better. It's just it'll last a long time and we won't have to fool with it. I just hope that roof's in good enough shape for it. But it's underway. So we got the tree down. We got the doghouse under roof. We're still waiting on Dad's notice for his heart cath. We haven't gotten that letter yet. As so far as I know, it could have come today. But Dad said the last one he had, it seemed to take a couple months, which sounds kind of strange. But we don't have any guests this weekend, so far as I know. Well, as I shouldn't say so far as I know, we have no guests staying here at Holstein House this weekend as of this time. There's no bookings. So we do have some bookings for September and October already. And we're looking forward to those. The folks that are coming in October are coming for a high school reunion. And it turns out that I went to school with the high school with the guy's niece. So that was an interesting conversation when I figured it out. It's like, wait a minute. Direct book, Airbnb, AirBTC. Don't forget, we're on AirBTC. My October guest actually already called. And this is what I was talking about. They were having trouble getting booked with Airbnb. It was but it was on the Airbnb end, not on my end. It wanted them to upload an image for their own profile. And she called me, the wife called me, and was all wound up about it. While they were trying to book the room, they decided they wanted to direct book. So the guest called me and said they were having trouble uploading or getting the reservation made through Airbnb. While we were on the phone, they decided, well, we'll just direct book. And they went over to direct book and they were having trouble, wouldn't let them. What was happening was Airbnb put a hold on the room while they were supposed to finalize their profile. And so by doing that, the management software that I use for my calendar for the B&B blocked those rooms so nobody else could get in them either. So they had them blocked because they were using Airbnb first, and that blocked those dates. And so they couldn't direct book because the dates were already blocked. Hope that makes sense. Talking about the garden and the poultry. I mentioned Tomato Assassin. Well, Tomato Assassin was the guy that was cutting down the tree. He landed every piece exactly where it needed to be. We did, but there were occasions when the outer branches were scraping things that they shouldn't. Case in point, the squirrel's nest. One of those in that picture that I just showed you took out my tomato plants in my container garden. And I was upset. I wasn't mad at him. I mean, there's only so much he could do. It wasn't his fault. If he had landed that tree differently, it would have rolled down the hill into somebody else's yard. So I was upset because my tomato plants had been mashed. I was able to go out yesterday and cut away a bunch of the stuff that had been broken off. I put some new soil in several of the containers. I watered them down good. I fastened some of them back up, and I think we're going to be okay. I'll still have a few tomatoes. I obviously won't have as many as I did, but it's not an all full loss. So it'll be okay. I may have some green beans coming up in the fall. Some of you guys know that my plants had been nibbled on by a groundhog and they have not produced any beans, but we do have some flowers on there. So maybe those beans will perk back up and make their way up the little pole, and maybe we may have a handful of beans before the killing frost comes through. I got some sweet potatoes planted. Not exactly the right amount of time, but I did get them planted. I'd had them for a while. They've been sitting in those little packs, and finally decided yesterday, since I was out in the yard working on the tomatoes, I just got some dirt together and got those, or soil together, and plunked those in a container. And we'll let them just sit there for a while and let them, hang out and do what they need to do. I have a greenhouse, a small greenhouse I got on sale over at the Rural King. And I think I'm going to put it on the back porch. We're at the back porch, and see if I can keep some stuff. I want to try a kitchen scrap garden. So, you can regrow a lot of kitchen foods that you buy at the store. Celery is one of the favorite ones. You put it in some water, you get some roots, you put it in some soil, and up you get some more celery. I want to try to do that. I want that to be a project I want to try to do as long as I can through the winter months on the back porch. I have an area of the back porch screened off with some plastic to keep some of the wind off of the back porch. I think I'm going to put that in that little corner, and it will it'll get sun, it'll get warm, and hopefully it won't get enough wind to chill it off through the winter, and we'll see how that goes. I'll try to get some pictures for you. The baby ducks are 4 months old tomorrow. They're going to be 4 months old tomorrow, and the daddy is already trying to mate his little girls. In the wild, I guess it doesn't matter. They haven't begun producing any eggs yet. I've not had any disputes between the males, other than daddy duck chases the young males all the time, chases them away. And we haven't had any fights. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I don't want the brothers mating with the sisters, and I don't want the daddy mating with the daughters. But I don't have any way of thinning that flock out or diversifying the gene pool there. I'm still trying to think that out. Maybe all of the guys will go in the freezer camp. I want to start some rabbits. I want to start raising rabbits. The problem is I'm so tender-hearted. While I don't think I would have a problem taking out the ducks, male ducks, I don't know that I can take out rabbits. And I've been reading on, the process. Rabbits actually don't sound as easy as everybody has told me. There's some issues that rabbits can have that you got to take care of that I don't know that I'm qualified to take care of. It's something that I do want to continue to look into. I just don't know that I can take them out. It's not a very pleasant way. It's not like with a chicken, you can drop it in a cone and with a hatchet, or pull its neck. I've done that. I don't like that. I think I'd rather do a cone and just chop it. But rabbits is something totally different. You whack them in the back of the head and then you bleed them. So I don't know that I can do that. That just is, I just don't know. And if any of you guys are rabbit farmers, I don't know if you call it a rabbit farm or a rabbit ranch, or I'd love to know how you bring yourself to do that. I know John Wills over at SOE talks about he just picks them up and brains them. I just don't know that I can do that. So I just wish there was a different way. I don't know. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. I wanted to talk a little bit about, I've already run over my time for the day, and I hate to do that. I wanted to talk a little bit about things to do around Holstein House. There's a good story on geocaching. If there's anybody out there that likes to geocache, I'm going to put a link. I'm going to update all of the descriptions, and I'm going to include that. That's one of the stories that I came across that I wanted to include that I don't think I got included already. Geocaching, and there's some geocaches in and around Holstein House, not too far. Events going on. There's a fly-in festival in Huntington this weekend. There's a West Virginia Cupcake Festival in Hurricane this weekend. Metal in the Mountains out at Pipesden this weekend. I think that's, I'm not sure what that is, if it's music or not. West Virginia State Honey Festival in Parkersburg. It's about a 45-minute drive from here. Is also this weekend. Huntington Music and Art Festival is from the 28th to the 2nd. So this weekend. That's this weekend or next? That's next week. Next week through the weekend. And the Oak Leaf Festival in Oak Hill is August 31st through September the 3rd. We also have the West Virginia Italian Heritage Festival in Clarksburg. Now, Clarksburg's a bit of a drive from here, but it's there if you want to go. And be lots of fun. West Virginia Sunflower Festival and Flea Market in Alderson. It's about an hour away. Great Beckley Beer Festival, September the 3rd. Beckley's about 45 minutes away. Beckley Kids Classic Festival from September 4th through the 10th. The Culture Fest World Music Arts Festival at Pipestem from the 7th to the 10th of September. Nicholas County Potato Festival in Summersville. Mound Art and Crafts Festival in South Charleston is on September the 9th, and that's only about 15-20 minutes depending on traffic from here. And the Putnam County Homecoming in Winfield is September the 9th. So that's going to be it for today. I'm sorry I did run over. I didn't get everything taken care of that I wanted to. It was a couple things like with the food preservation and stuff that I wanted to talk about that I added kind of at the last minute, so I did get a little off track. We do have my dehydrating workshop coming up next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow at the Diamond United Methodist Church. So if anybody's in the area and wants to do that, come on over. If you don't know how to get there, let me know. I will get word to you. So I think that's it. Listen, hey, if you're traveling to or through West Virginia on the West Virginia Turnpike or Interstate 6477, and you're looking for a place to stop in between from point A to point B, consider Holstein House. Go to robinholstein.com. Look for Holstein House on the menu. Click Holstein House and check out our direct book dates and things that are there for you. And we also take Airbnb, which is fine. A lot of people rather use Airbnb. I'd rather pay those fees, but I get it. It's a long-standing place, and it's probably makes you feel a little more comfortable than using the direct book for a little place like Holstein House. But that's okay. We take them all. So I'm going to call it there, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful next few days. Thank you, Mike, the Philippine Nomad, for stopping in and having our little conversation here. I'm sorry I didn't get everything that you had to say, but I do appreciate it. And we're going to go now. Oh, excuse me, I got the hiccups. And we'll talk to you again on Friday. Friday at 10 o'clock. There's another live, but it's live and unscripted, so more room for your conversation. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
So there you have it. Post your comments, do all that boosting, liking, sharing, thumbs up, and stuff that helps spread the word and poke the algorithms. Follow me on most of the big social media platforms and look for my name, Robin Holstein, or Holstein House. Till next time, bye-bye.